Hello friends, fellow modelers, and hobby enthusiasts. Today, I'll be showing you all how I painted a resin Batman figure. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Pour yourself a nice drink, and let's paint the Cape Crusader. This figure is pulled from the Batmobile model kit from AMT. So for the rest of you who are an elderly millennial like me, that's the Michael Keaton Batman from the first Tim Burton film. This was a commission I did for a fellow in my local Gunpla and plastic model kit group. It is roughly 1/25th scale and is all casted resin. Overall, not a bad sculpt, but a little soft on some of the details, especially on the inside of the cape. Batman's hands sort of disappear into the costume, and it's kind of a mushy area in general. Other than that, there are also a few air bubbles around the base and minor areas that I'll need to patch up and fill. So let's get started. Before doing any filling or sanding, I gave the figure a good scrubbing with some soapy water and a toothbrush to make sure there's no mold release or oils that will give us any issues. This is just a few drops of dish soap into a container of distilled water. After giving that a good scrubbing and rinse, I flash dried the figure with the help of my airbrush and left that to air dry for a moment. The next step was to address all the gaps that needed to be filled. This was mostly on the base. I filled those with Madworks UV putty and then cured the resin with a UV curing LED lamp to a rigid enough surface to sand over. Once I was certain that all the putty had cured completely, I gave the entire model a wet sanding with 180 grit Tamiya sanding sponges. Any mold lines and gaps were basically eliminated at this point. I washed the model again with soapy water and gave it a thorough rinse, and dried with my airbrush. Moving over to the airbrush booth, I primed the base of the model first with Mr. Surfacer 1500 Black, and then set it down to dry completely. Following this, and with the model now attached to a pill bottle with 3M double-sided tape, I primed the rest of the model with black, making sure to inspect that I get complete coverage over all the white resin. Mr. Surfacer is a lacquer-based primer that will dry to a workable surface pretty fast, so while letting that dry, I set up my wet palette and brush painting station. I started by blocking in the sclera of the eyes with Screaming Skull from Citadel. This is just a bone-colored off-white, as I didn't want to use pure white for this. Following the eyes, I started base coating the skin of the face with Vallejo model color Brown Rose. To tidy up any areas where I made mistakes, I layered back black with some Citadel Abaddon Black. Once I was satisfied with the neatness of these areas, I carefully dotted the pupils of the eyes with a carefully placed amount of Abaddon Black using the point of my brush. Batman's pupils are positioned in a way that suggests he's looking off in the distance to his upper left. After working on the face and feeling satisfied with the portrait so far, moved on to establishing the middle tone of the cape and parts of the batsuit with Citadel Incubi Darkness. This is a very dark blue and green. I'm making sure to leave some pure black behind in the shadow and recessed areas. I'm basically placing large highlights in all those areas. I don't want the suit to read as pure black, so I'll be using mostly blue to create a more cool temperature looking batsuit. It's basically light reflections from the surrounding Gotham City lights reflecting on the fabric. I'm going off of some of the reference photos I pulled from the film. Anyways, with most of the batsuit now established, I then painted in all the other smaller details. Starting off with the iconic Batman emblem on the chest, I blocked in the yellow portion with Citadel Layer Uriel Yellow. Anywhere I got a little careless with the yellow, I cleaned up with the Incubi Darkness to refine the bat symbol, as well as some other portions in the suit that caught my eye while I still had this color on my brush. I often will switch colors if I notice things as I paint. Painting miniatures this way I found is a very non-linear process. It's okay to not be super neat, and I often will go back and forth to refine some areas. It's kind of the point of having a wet palette, as it keeps the paint workable for longer periods of time. Moving on to the next detail, I blocked in Batman's utility belt with Citadel Retributor armor. Having now established all the main areas of Batman with all the base coats blocked in, this is the perfect canvas to start adding definition to our shadows, followed by layering highlights. Let's start with the shadows. Starting off with the face again, I applied a light brown wash to add shading and a slight filter to tint the skin with Citadel Shade Seraphim Sepia. This will add a shadow color to define the features of the face a little more. Following this, I applied a dark brown wash to the utility belt using Citadel Shade Agrax Earthshade, also known as Liquid Talent. This will just fill in those nice recessed details on the belt and pairs well with the gold, giving it a slightly darker and grungier tint. To add a subtle blue filter and to establish more cool-leaning shadow color on the cape, I applied Citadel Drakenhof Nightshade all over the outside and inside of the cape. Returning now to the face, I began adding the highlight color for the skin with Vallejo model color Salmon Rose. I did have to come back with Abaddon Black to clean up some more mishaps on the cowl and face areas. Following that, I also tidy up any of the other colors as needed before moving on. To give the Batsuit its brightest highlight color, I did an all-over dry brush with Citadel Cantor Blue, targeting only the raised edges and to establish brighter highlights. I also would like to note, I use a soft bristle eyeshadow brush to create softer appearing highlights. I found using this not only helps to make the dry brushing look not as scratchy when compared to a harder dry bristle brush. As a final highlight, I applied Citadel Liberator Gold to only the raised portions of the utility belt to bring back some brightness to the gold, but leaving the recesses nicely shadowed by the brown wash all over the previous darker gold. To finish off this Batman, of course I'll be painting the included base it was casted with. I started by applying a base coat of Citadel Dawnstone to establish the gray Gotham City concrete color I'm trying to portray. To make the base not look as flat, I also applied a layer of black wash, Citadel Shade Nuln Oil. After applying Nuln Oil all over, I then stippled away the excess all over the base with a soft makeup brush to create a splotchy pattern. This is meant to mimic that grimy city concrete and not make the base look as flat and uniform. There isn't much texture there to begin with to catch a lot of the black wash, so this is a quick way to add just a little more visual interest to an otherwise flat base. After giving the Batman a significant amount of time to completely dry, I carefully removed the model from my makeshift painting handle, as well as removing all the double-sided tape. As a final touch, the rim and the bottom of the base is given a nice flat layer of Citadel Abaddon Black for more neat presentation. I dried the model with a hairdryer because I'm impatient, and with that, the Dark Knight is ready. If you watched the video up to this point, I just want to say, thanks for checking me out. I enjoy smaller painting projects like this, and it's a nice exercise in keeping up with brush painting skills and a good opportunity for me to refine some techniques. I've got a series of mini painting videos coming, and I'm really excited to share it with you all. Please like, subscribe if that interests you. Stay safe, be nice to each other, build Batman, paint Batman. See you in the next video. Here's Batman. Bye-bye.